So the question I often get, very rudimentarily, is how do I see more people? Listen, there are many ways to grow a business, There's many levers to pull, but one of the fundamental, and it's a bit about ego, one of the fundamental things that most people want to know is how do I see more people? So you have to understand this concept. Hey everyone, Dr. Rieder here. Thank you for subscribing to my channel. Thank you for watching this video. I have going to be changing things up a little bit. So please, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe, hit the like button, give me some comments, because I'm going to be doing a lot more of these videos, which is going to be directly actionable steps and coaching sessions and how-to things right now. So you're definitely going to want to get the future videos, because I'm going to be doing a lot more of these. So I hope they're helpful, first of all. Today's topic is quite a simple one, but I can't tell you how many times I've had to deal with this with a potential client or one of my current clients. And listen, everyone comes to my circle, if you will, either my inner circle, we've got different levels, for really one thing, and anyone seeks coaching for one thing, and that is in some way, shape or form to grow, right? Everyone wants to grow. Everyone wants to see more people, if that's your thing, or more profit, or more abundance, or more time. The word survive has a connotation to it in the general lexicon of language, that it's got this feeling of you just getting by. But if you actually look at the etymology of the word survive, it is to have excess, to have more. So it's possible to better survive and worse survive if you look at the etymology of the word. We just use it kind of incorrectly. So everyone wants better survive, if you will, in the marketplace or in their practices or in life. So, and the definition of that is excess, either excess time. So you run a business, you were swamped, and now you've got more time because you're able to increase structures in the business, you're able to add systems into the business and core values and scorecards and things I talk about in many videos. Or you have excess financial means by which you can buy that time. Either way, you need excess of either time or finances or both for you to, in this case, what most people come for coaching. So the question I often get, very rudimentarily, is how do I see more people? Listen, there are many ways to grow a business, There's many levers to pull, but one of the fundamental, and it's a bit about ego, one of the fundamental things that most people want to know is how do I see more people? So you have to understand this concept. I coach many people. I coach open plan docs that are high volume docs, and I coach docs who are low volume docs, but sometimes our low volume docs make more money than the high volume docs. Just to be clear, I worked with docs that see 100 a week that make more money than docs that see 250 to 300 a week. I kid you not. But a couple metrics you don't understand. It doesn't have to be that way, but often I'll work with a doc who's busting their behind and they're seeing 200 a week, 250 a week, but they're making no freaking money. Normally I go straight to two metrics, which I'll talk about in a different video. But today I'm talking about how to see more people. There's only 3 ways. And it's going to sound oversimplified, but for you to understand this right now is one of the keys for you to understand whether this is your game or this is not your game. There's only 3 ways. Way number 1 is shorten the time you spend with people. If you're a closed plan doc and that's the way you practice, and if you're seeing someone for 30 minutes or 20 minutes or 15 minutes, one way to see more people is to shorten the time you spend with them. Most of those docs, their barriers to growth, or they are root bound by capacity. Wealth rule number 1, never have any limits on your earning potential. Now, when you're selling time for money, there are certain barriers there, but first thing I wanted to address is right now, if that's an option for you for the way that you practice, you have to consider that. Way number 1, shorter times with people, shorter appointments, and therefore you can see more people. I want to address one thing here when I say root bound. If you are anywhere close to 80% capacity, you are at capacity. Please don't think you can grow anywhere more. It's actually really closer to 70%, 75%. You might have peaks and troughs where you go higher, but you will, mark my words, It's going to happen to you. You can argue with me if you like, but I promise you I've seen it so many times that when you are maybe just a little off, or maybe you're not feeling it, or maybe your energy levels are not exactly where they normally are, or maybe you have that second child or that third child, I promise you, you will average out at about, if you a type of doc that's always fully booked, you should never be fully booked, by the way, but if you're a type of doctor that you're going to peter out and you're going to always average out to about 75%, at max 85%. So if you want to see 100 a week, you better make sure 100 a week is not 85%. You better make sure that 100 a week is like only 60% or 75%. So that's a fundamental thing for you to understand, is that the universe or your schedule or your diary hates space. So if you open it up, you will fill more space in it. Most people are just root bound. They say, oh, no, I've still got some more space to grow. And if you look at their available adjustment slots, which is a statistic you need to do, they don't have space to grow. So you've got to make space to grow. That's all this video is about, is space. So let's go back through that again. First thing is create space by shortening time. Number 2 is simply work more hours. Almost nobody wants to work more freaking hours, so that is an option. If you take that off the table, you take the first option off the table for me, specifically the closed plan doc. If you take the first option off the table and you say to me, I don't want to see people for shorter than fill in the blank, then you potentially leave us no choice if you want to see more people, but that's not the only lever you can pull to be more profitable, which I'll get to in a moment. But if you take that off the table for me and you say, I don't want to see shorter times, then you have to consider working longer hours. But that's never a prescription of mine, if you will, because I want you to have excess time and finances, which happens. Cool, that's number 2, work longer hours. Let's just categorically say that sucks. But also in the same aspect, sometimes I'll work with a doc and I'll ask them what their goal is, and they'll say, I want to be at 450 a week, and they're working 3 shifts. They're working a Monday morning, a Tuesday afternoon, and a Wednesday afternoon. And I'm like, well, it's probably going to be pretty tough for you to do that. I'm just being honest. I'm not saying that you can't, but you're going to have to be so efficient and so on it all the time, and your training be so great that it's probably not going to happen. Sometimes we give ourselves too much credit. Meaning, I want you to assume that there's a difference between something working and making it work. You can make anything work, but does it just work? And there is an element of availability which you cannot deny. Meaning, if your recommendations are 3 times a week and you only work 3 afternoons, or you only work, which I always say at least work 3 afternoons, but if you want to see 3 people 3 times a week and you're only in, 2.5 days a week, it's going to be a little bit tough for you, just because just about giving people more options. So if you're able to say to someone, for example, I often recommend, specifically for volume, if you're working less, at minimum of 5 shifts, meaning like say 3 p.m.s, 2 a.m.s, minimum. But if you're going to want to see people 3 times a week and there's someone who can only see you in the mornings, because that happens, then it's going to be tough for you to recommend 3 times a week when you only go in for 2 mornings. That is just a fact, whether you like it or not, it's a fact. Right? So availability is a thing. So while I don't want you to work longer hours, but also we have to be realistic and say, if you want to see the volume you want to see, you have to have realistic expectations of what you can see in the time period you're going to see it, without being too efficient. Because if you're like me or any businessman, you wax and wane through business, where periods where you're extremely efficient, extremely on it, extremely productive, but that just ain't the case all the time. So if you need to be a level 100 to just do the volume you want to see and perfect and slick all the time, you're probably not going to do it. Just being honest. And then the last one, there's only 3 ways, right? Number 1 is see people shorter time. Number 2 is work longer hours. Number 3 is see more people across. The beauty about seeing more people across is that you're not working more hours and you're able to get unroute bound. Meaning you're able to create space immediately. It's such a funny thing, When I talk with a doc and they say to me, look, I really want to grow, I really want to grow, I really want to grow. Again, there's levers to pull to have increased profit that is not more. You don't have to see more to always have increased profit. But if they want to see more, then I'll give them the spiel that I've just given you. You don't have a choice. You got 3 elements. That's it. You either see more people by seeing less time, or you work longer hours, or you understand that you have to see more people across. So let's talk about that a little bit. The interesting psychology that goes through a chiropractor's mind when I say see more people across, it doesn't matter what level it is. Either they've never seen across more, they're 1 visit at a time, or they're already 3 visits at a time, 4 visits at a time. Let's say, when I say 3 across in 15 minutes, or 4 across, or 10 across, or whatever level they're at. Whatever level they're at, what's so important for you to understand. When I say to them, you need to open up your schedule more across, for you to do that, this is what happens. Fear. And it's an interesting concept, because often I'll say to them, why are you fearful about it? And they'll then say, well, potentially a version of, it's going to be very chaotic, it's going to be very hectic, I don't know if I can do it, etc., etc. Which is an interesting concept, given the fact that I'm just saying all you have to do is, if you were at 3 across in 15 or 4 across in 15, I want you to add another 2 or 3 slots, but there's nobody there. There's nobody in the freaking schedule. So what are you worried about? And here's what they're worried about. Deep down, you and I both know that you get what you're going to be careful what you ask for. You're going to be careful what you think about, because you're going to get it. So the interesting thing about it is, deep down, you and I both know that you're attractive enough to create that growth. So that is the barrier. So when I say to them, what do you worry about? There's no one there. Like, where are these people going to magically come from? But you and I both know it's going to happen if you've got the availability. Isn't that interesting? So then you have to go into the next phase, which is you have to embrace, I promise you right now, specifically for volume, is, it's so funny, specifically volume, I don't care what anyone tells you, it is a little bit like organized chaos. And that's when it's fun, when a practice is heaving, when there is stuff happening you don't know about always. You know, a new patient just walked in, can we squeeze them in? A family walking that wasn't scheduled, can we fit them in? That's when it's fun. That's when the practice is busy. Do you want to eat at a quiet restaurant or a busy restaurant? You want to eat at a busy restaurant. Is a busy restaurant a bit of a dance? And if the management can put it off seamlessly, the busier the better, because it is got a vibe to it. That's what you want. It's the vibe that's attractive. So don't be afraid of organized chaos, because there's no ways to escape it if you want to be busier. Here's what happens. Universe, please send me X, Y, or Z. Please send me new patients. Please send me more visits. And then, when we get it, we're like, oh no, it's too hectic. So that's conflicting message we're sending across. But that's essentially what's happening. It's like, you know that if you open up that schedule, that's what's going to happen. You're going to see more people. So why aren't you doing it? And the reason you're not doing it is because, yes, there are systematic things you need to change. Yes, there are mindset things you have to change, which is not the topic for today. But A, you also have to work on the being that can hold the space of so many people to get woo-woo on you. That's a thing. Is there trainings you can do on it? Yes, there's trainings you can do it. We do exercise all the time in my Inner Circle masterminds, presence exercises, etc., so that you can hold this space as a human being. And that's why my members are seeing so many more new patients. That's why I'm seeing so many visits. I want to be clear. There are many of my members who have doubled their practice. I'm talking ending up with profits of 200,000, $250,000 extra in their practice. So what could that do for you? But you have to be also able to embrace, there's certainly an element within coaching and mentoring where that requires a certain level of openness to embrace the recommendations, because you can take a horse to water, but you can't make them drink, as they say. So those are my nuggets for you today, is that there are many ways to grow profit in a business, but to see more people, yes, I'll run through the formula right now for you. You can get more people in the top of the funnel, but ultimately, if you don't know if you root bound wealth, rule number 1, have no barriers on your income or on your capacity. Get rid of the barriers. So all I'm saying with this video is that you have barriers, and right now, if you're anywhere near 75% capacity, and you need to know the statistic, what is your available adjustment slots? Or how many total adjustment slots do you have in the schedule for the week? What are you currently sitting at? And my guess is you've probably been sitting at that for a little while. And whatever that is as a capacity, as expressed as a percentage of your schedule, let's say if you've got 150 available slots or 150 total slots in the schedule, you probably have been always teaching around a certain percentage capacity, whether it's 75%. Well, then you know if 75% capacity is 100 for you of the schedule, to go to 150, you better make sure that you've got 250 slots. Our opinions of it are irrelevant. And yes, I might be going to the nth degree here, the top end of the scale. But again, if you just understand, if you're anywhere near 75%, you're fully booked. So I remember a mentor many years told me that you should never look at your schedule and it should never look busy. It should never look full. Why? Because when you look at an empty schedule, and by that I mean, if you're adjusting 10 across, some people might look at their diary and their schedule and they might have 3 o'clock and they may be fully booked. But for someone who's got 10 slots at 3 o'clock across, they look empty. And the perceived space that creates mentally will make you fill it in time. So are you looking at your schedule and feeling good about yourself because you're fully booked, but you may be fully booked at 30 a week? And if that's your gig, that's cool. But if you appear to be fully booked and you're seeing people for hour slots and that's your gig, that's fine. But you ain't gonna grow if you look fully booked. So today's video is all about space. You've got to create space. Emotionally and mentally, you've got to create space, and that's a different conversation. But just fundamentally in the schedule, those are the only 3 ways. Let me go through them again. Number 1, you've got to be able to either shorten your times with people if you're booking one person at a time, or you're going to work longer hours, or you're going to see more people across. If you say to me, if you take all those things off the table on your growth journey with me, once I do your analysis, then that's also cool, by the way. We can still grow profits, but then you've got to be more aggressive with other levers, like price increases. So I always say to any of my members, you can totally have the practice can be profitable on your way of making profit up until a point. If you take certain levers off the table for me, or certain things I can pull to help you be profitable, then you've got to be more aggressive with the others, like a price increase. And I'll go to that very briefly. If you are someone that wants to, for instance, see one person at a time for like 30-minute appointments, you don't have a choice but to be obnoxiously expensive. If you want to grow, if you want to stay the same, you've got to stay the same. Does it make sense? Because you have put a barrier on how many people you can see. So if you just grasp that concept that all your job is as a business owner, as a practice owner, is to create space constantly, that's one of the space things you can do. You can have as many new patients in the top of the funnel as you want, but if you don't understand that, if you had capacity, you ain't gonna grow. And if you want to be at capacity, then you've got to pull another lever more aggressively. I love and appreciate you guys. Keep on rocking. I'm rooting for you. Please subscribe to this channel. I'm going to give you way more videos like this. Please like it. Please subscribe. Please share it wherever you can. And I'll see you on another video. See you soon. Hey guys, thanks for watching the video. I hope it was helpful. If you haven't yet subscribed, please subscribe. Hit the like button and share the video or leave a comment. It would really mean a lot to me. Also, if you haven't subscribed, my statistics show that over 70% of you that watch my videos aren't subscribed. Hit the subscribe button. You do not want to miss the practice growth strategies I'm going to be teaching over the next couple of months. See you on the other side.